call to order the Siloam Springs Board of Directors meeting for April 20th, 2021. Roll call.
Sappington.
Here.
Smiley.
Here.
Burns.
Here.
Hunt.
Here.
Rissler.
Here.
Allen.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
You all will still please stand with me as Director Allen leads us in prayer and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here safely tonight. Look after all of us as we attempt to make the best decisions for the future and benefit of the citizens of Siloam Springs. Look after our nation, look after the leadership of our country and our state. Please help bring peace to the world, and we ask these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to ask everyone to please silence any electronic devices you may have with you. And I will also remind our directors during this meeting, if you will, when speaking, speak into your microphones. We'll want to make sure that we get everything recorded and everyone can hear you. So please remember that. Thank you. First item is our public input. The public may address the Board of Directors regarding any item on the consent agenda or any city business not listed on the board's regular agenda. Is there anyone here? Please state your name and address.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Siloam Springs Board of Directors, Arthur Holbert, 20705 Highway 16, Siloam Springs. And I'm here on behalf of the Siloam Springs Board of Directors. I want to give a real brief update and then make a real kind of quick request, if that's okay with you all. So we've decided that rain, sleet, snow, or even maybe a little bit of sunshine, we are going to have a Dogwood Festival, and we've had all of those today even, on April 23rd, 24th, 25th. So far we have around 165 booths with music, food, festivities for all. We have a Dogwood pageant, car show on the 24th, Dogwood duck race on Sunday the 25th in Sager Creek with about 1,000 ducks to be released into the creek. Then we are having a Siloam Springs High School Honors Graduate Luncheon on May 13th. Siloam Springs is also hosting, or helping, our Siloam Springs is hosting the 5A soccer tournament that the Chamber's helping take the lead on. So I'd like to use the last couple minutes just to make a request, please. Last, I'd like to request the Siloam Springs City Board of Directors to direct city staff to submit a budget amendment to include the $7,500 for fourth quarter 2020, which is October, November, December economic development payment to the Siloam Springs Chamber of Commerce. The Siloam Springs Chamber of Commerce submitted an invoice for the fourth quarter 2020 to the city in February 2021 after the city had closed its books, as I understand, in January. Available for questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, we'll move on to our regular agenda. Next is our consent agenda. Item A, workshop minutes, April 6th, 2021. Item B, regular monthly meeting minutes, April 6th, 2021. C, dedication of utility easements, 2800 and 3000 Waukesha Road. Item D, dedication of utility easements, 911 Highway 16. E, appointments, Broadband Advisory Committee. F, grant application, Federal Aviation Administration Airport Runway Pavement Rehabilitation. The preliminary engineering report for the airport, $82,700. Item G, Resolution 1221, Street and Alleyway Closures, John Brown University Junior and Senior Banquet, 5A State Soccer Tournament, Lambert Wedding, and Heritage Festival. Directors, what is your pleasure?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
can we pull item E, please, from the consent agenda?
E? Anyone else? If not, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with item E removed? Yes.
Carol, could you pull your mic around?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Smiley?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Hunt?
Yes.
Rissler?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Sappington?
Yes.
Consent agenda is approved, minus item E. Director Burns, you have requested item E be removed. Do you have questions and comments?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Last board meeting, I was a little quiet because I was trying to process what was happening at the time, and I had heavier things on my mind. I'm just curious for clarification. So this board is appointed by the mayor, and if so, what was the deciding factor, if you could share, between Director Rissler and Director Allen for appointment?
Actually, the staff and our administrator put the list together. We had reviewed to make sure just who actually could do that, and so I will let our administrator answer that.
So, Director Burns, we went back and looked to verify what the state statute is, and one, to clarify, the state statute is that the city administrator makes the nominations for board, for committees of the board like this, advisory committees, and that has to be confirmed by the board. But the decision originally, after the workshop back on, I think it was March the 16th, Director Ressler had expressed an interest to me that she wanted to be on this committee. At the last board meeting, Director Allen expressed an interest to be on the committee. We discussed some facts of whether it's to have 2 board members or not. Director Ressler said she would recuse herself from that, and so that was the reason to have Director Allen on the committee.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Do I have a motion to approve item E?
So moved.
Have a
Second.
second? We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Burns?
Yes.
Hunt?
Yes.
Rissler?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Sappington?
Yes.
Smiley?
Yes.
Item E, appointments to Broadband Advisory Committee, is approved. Next is our regularly scheduled items. We have an ordinance 21-06 placed on its second reading, annexation of 25.57 acres, 23006 Lawlis Road. Ben?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the board. Ben Rhodes, Senior Planner. Before you is the second reading for the annexation at 23006 Lawlis Road. And as a reminder, this is to annex in 25.57 acres and to zone this R3 to family, which matches the existing Lawlis Ranch preliminary plat, which is currently under development. We have not received any new comments since the first reading, and we stand ready for any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address this ordinance? Directors, any comments or questions? There being none, do I have a motion to place ordinance 2106 on its second reading, suspending the rules, reading title only?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we place ordinance number 21-06 on its second reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only.
Have a second.
Second.
Roll call.
Hunt?
Yes.
Rissler?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Sappington?
Yes.
Smiley?
Yes.
Burns?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next item, I'm sorry,
Thank you.
Philip.
Ordinance number 21-06, an ordinance accepting the annexation of certain territory described as the Lawlis Ranch Addition Phases 2 through 5 to the city of Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and assigning the same to a ward.
Thank you. Next item is our staff reports. Philip?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, Board, you have in your packet the update for the first quarter 2021 update of the 2021 and 2022 board goals. If you have any questions over any of those updates, please feel free to reach out to me, or I can answer them here tonight. You also have the first quarter 2021 reports from the Chamber of Commerce, the History Museum, and Main Street. And those representatives are here tonight if you have any questions. I would like to point out one thing on the board goals before I get into the full-blown director's report. One of the goals, the second goal on the list, I believe it's B1, talks about economic development and encouraging new businesses. And many of you know that the old Franklin Electric building has been under contract. And that building, the contract with that for sale of that building has officially closed. It closed on Friday. The board goals list a new business obtaining a business permit as Tug Logistics. I think they had 30 employees listed on there. They bought the building and will be operating a business known as Nile Supplier Company. They're a logistics company. They basically operate a warehouse, but they fill orders from purchases from businesses to businesses and businesses to consumers. So it's not truly a mail order house. I wouldn't say it that way, but that's one way to describe it. But this is a project that Don Clark has been working on for probably a year. A couple of meetings ago, there was a gentleman here who said we needed to do something about the building, and I wanted everybody to know that we have been working on that. We had, in the last almost 3 years, there's been a lot of interest in that building, but nobody was ever able to get to the closing table. But officially, as of Friday, that building has sold, and there will be a new business in that building, and I just wanted to point that out to everybody. Unless there's any questions on any of that, I'll be happy to go on through my director's report. So I have a couple of department expenditures I need to report. $48,825 for some additional 4/0 primary wire in the electric department for inventory. An additional $40,600 for 20,000 linear feet of 1/0 primary wire in inventory. The other 4/0 wire was for 17,500 feet. There were a number of purchases 2 weeks ago for the same type of material, and it's basically because what we're seeing is delivery times are getting longer and the price of that material is going up, so we wanted to go ahead and purchase some more of it. Our sales tax receipts are in for March. For the city, we're up almost, for the month of March, almost 20%. Year to date, we're just under 11%. And on the county side of our sales tax, we're just over 21% on the county and for the month, and year to date just over 16%. Our community development department has been operating in some cases between 7 and 6 p.m. to allow for people to make payments when they are past due outside of the normal business hours. We're making some changes to that. We'll put that information out there. Typically the information is found on our late bills, but we're going to move that and have our utility billing division be open from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on the shut-off days, and then that following morning from 7 to 8 p.m. We never saw a lot of traffic at community development to do that, but we're going to do a little bit more advertising. We're not going to be open every day here at City Hall on the UB side, but we are going to have extended hours on those shut-off days and the day after shut-off in case somebody needs to come in before work to get their electricity turned back on. Last week was the National Public Safety Communications Week, and I just wanted to say personally that I wanted to thank our dispatchers. They work behind the scenes. Some of you know most of us know how important that job is, but it's extremely important for that dispatch to get the information from the public, dispatch that information out to police and fire. And I just wanted to say thank you to those city employees working in dispatch, because they work tireless hours, and they maintain our communications, and they're very, very important in that public safety role. The last couple of items I have relate to a COVID update. You have some numbers there from ACHI, the Arkansas Center for Health Improvement. See the sort of numbers going down and coming back up. You can see in some of that April 13th, we can't get individual numbers anymore, but by county, we had about 0.69 active cases per 1,000 in Benton County. And then 2 or 3 days later, that went up to 0.72. Same thing for Washington County on April 13th, just over 0.8 active cases per 1,000, and then a couple of days later, 0.9 active cases per 1,000. The additional slides give you an idea of active cases by region. So in the Northeast, total of 0.7 cases per 1,000 on the 13th of April, and then by the 15th we were up to 0.76. Doesn't sound like a large number, but when you multiply that by the thousands of people that live here, it does increase. And you can see on the last slide that I provided the numbers of fully immunized individuals ages 16 plus by region, and then it goes into partially immunized, and then the total number. And I added down there some additional information from April 6th and March 28th. So as of the 14th of April, in the northwest region of the state, fully immunized was just over 20%, up from 16.7% on April 6th, and up from 13.5% on March 28th. So the numbers are climbing as far as the total number of individuals that have been received the vaccination. But I would just be remiss if we don't remind everybody that it's still here. We still have to take our precautions, wear our mask when we can't, social distance, wash our hands, and be aware of the fact that COVID is not gone. And I would also encourage anyone that is willing to take the shot to be sure and reach out and find a way to get the shot. And if you don't know where you can get the shot, if you'll reach out to City Hall, we'll help you find a way to find an area where shots are being given. I was asked a couple of weeks ago about how many people in the city had received the vaccination, and I can't track that information. But as of the 6th of this month, there had been about just over 4,900 fully vaccinations provided. And what I tried to do is just say, assuming all of those were city residents, which I guarantee it wasn't, probably wasn't all Arkansas residents. But if it was all city residents, that would be about 40% of our residents 18 years of age and older. So it's less than 40%, and I would say it's probably closer to that number that you see on that back slide, probably closer to 20% of our residents. But that 20% is, part of our population, part of the day-to-day population here, not just residents. And then lastly, I wanted you to know that we turned in the application for the electric vehicle charging station rebate today. The charging station is activated. You have to go online and download a ChargePoint app to be able to use it, but it's very simple. I did that today. And I spoke to the state. The state said that there were 13 applications for rebates ahead of us, and there should be sufficient money, assuming that we dotted all our I's and crossed our T's on our application. We should be in line to receive the rebate that we talked about when we talked about the charging station. Madam Mayor and Board, that's my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Next would be our director's report. I would like to ask that as you're giving your comments and your reports, that perhaps you might give direction to our staff, considering our request from the chamber for the budget amendment for the fourth quarter payment of $7,500. I believe that would require a resolution. Is that correct, Philip?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in order for us to do that, we would need direction from you all if you would like for staff to pursue that and bring that back to you. So with that, I will ask if, Marla, you would like to start tonight.
Thank you. Went to a T-ball game last night. It was wonderful. Those little kids, I tell you, when they hit the ball, everybody runs to get it. But my concern was there were no masks anywhere, and I don't know, how we're going to deal with that. We're just going to, protect yourself and protect your family as best as you can. But also the traffic out there is tremendous. You need to watch for parents as they're crossing the street. The kids are darting through the parking lot, so be extra cautious. But I encourage you to go watch all the age groups. It's wonderful to see us doing some living again and out as families. Also, I think that the city's website, the meeting info, the things that's going on in town, and the report a problem, just can't encourage you enough to be aware of those. I had someone contact me this week, and I had him go to the report a problem, which went to the staff, and they are working on his problem, and it's wonderful. And it doesn't postpone the action, it speeds it along. So I think it's a wonderful thing. Also, on the Facebook for the Dogwood Festival, I noticed that they have the vendors listed, and you can go through and see what vendors are going to be here. So I thought that was, and we just have so much going on, and the availability of the information about what's going on is out there for us. And I also attended the Main Street conference. It was a virtual conference. A lot of trendy stuff going on. I really was interested in the senior housing and the things with AARP that you can get done for seniors, and I think that I would encourage staff to look into that, because there's lots of projects and lots of things that can be done to help with seniors. Even on the walking trails, you can put senior workout equipment instead of the ones that take a lot of energy. So, but it was quite interesting. And there was I think it was Enid, Oklahoma, I'm not for sure, but they had done some crosswalks and painted them and done the art on it, and it was part of that. And it's just amazing. And so I learned a lot of stuff, so I appreciate being able to attend virtually for that. And I'm going to the Dogwood Festival and putting my granddaughter in Little Miss Dogwood. So I will see you all there Saturday morning, bright and early. So I just encourage everyone to be safe when you're out and about. There's going to be lots of people here. And that's it. Oh, no. No.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Philip, I am in favor of the city looking into a possible resolution put together for the chamber. I do appreciate how the chamber, Main Street, and the city work together with school systems. I feel like we have a unity that has taken time, and I appreciate the unity that we show as a community, and I'd like to see that continued. I know this resolution won't make that happen, yes or no, but I think it will be a help. And I'm looking forward to the Dogwood Festival. It's good to see that we're getting out and about again and seeing this community restart. And I think there's a lot of anticipation on what's going on, and much to look forward to with the summer. And I finally want to let Director Burns know that I've been inspired. I'm going to try to grow my hair out like him, and I've been working for weeks at it. But it's going to be about 10 years, and I'll be right there with you. But that is all, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. David?
In regards to the broadband, I found an article, and I'm gonna make sure Philip gets it and can pass it on to everyone. It was in Forbes. It was supported by T-Mobile, so take it with a grain of salt. But it was a different viewpoint in that how much telehealth is done nowadays required because of COVID. The title of it is Equitable Access to Healthcare Starts with Affordable Broadband for All. And it's an interesting take in terms of broadband is not just for entertainment and looking at the internet. It is also now to the point that we have to have it for, not have to, but most probably will be used a lot more than it ever was before because of what we've been going through. So anyway, it was just an interesting take on it. And then, Madam Mayor, I was going to ask regarding the $7,500 that is owed to the chamber. It was, in my opinion, it was discrepancy. I don't think it was city's fault. I don't think it was chamber's fault. Is there, since it was already budgeted and decided to be spent before, is there a need for an actual resolution, or could we do that as an additional? I mean, if we did it tonight, you'd have to have a motion to put it on the agenda, and then you'd have to vote on it. But I didn't know, is there a need to have a resolution, or could it be done?
My understanding is that because the budget has been closed.
Oh, okay.
And we are now in a new fiscal year, we
Okay.
would need a resolution.
Well, I'm in favor of seeing the next meeting have this resolved. Yep. Thank you.
I am in favor of resolving the issue with the chamber as well. I think there were just some issues that I think we've probably learned from for the future, and so if we can get that corrected and or resolved, that would be fine with me. I thank you to the chamber and the museum and the Main Street for all you do for our citizens and for the city, and how you do work with the city to provide these things for our citizens. So thank you for what you've done, and thank you for the reports, just so that we know what's going on. I appreciate it. I enjoy going out to City Lake and hiking, and last time I was there, I thought about a recommendation that a citizen made about a fishing pier. And so I've had a few conversations with Philip Patterson about this fishing pier and what we can do to make this happen. And he mentioned to me that and I think he may have mentioned it to the board before, that we're hoping that JVU students could get involved in building it, partnering with those JVU students. And so he and I have both reached out to Mark Terrell, who is in charge of the construction management department, just to see what we can do. I reached out to him again today, and I hadn't heard back as of the time of the meeting. I think there is some interest, but there's also this thing called COVID that has had everyone has thrown everyone for a loop, and I know that's really affected the educators at John Brown. Just keeping up with their classes is enough. So we're hoping that, and I say we, I've been involved because I work at John Brown and I work with Mark Terrell, and that's why I said that I would sort of be one to try to get some updates on it. So I've asked him if he might be able to let us know by June if he thinks that that's a project that they could take on. And I think I understood you to say in a conversation that if we could have something done within the next year or two, that would be helpful.
Yes, and so the idea of a ADA fishing pier at City Lake, I think, has great merit, and it's just a question of if we can, going into the 2022 budget, if JVU could do it in the fall, then it may be something that we would bring back to this board and ask for a budget amendment to buy the materials. If they can't do it, then it's going to be, we'll work to see if we can put it into the 2022 budget, and then likely we may have to hire a private contractor to do it.
And it is, we all know things just kind of take some time, and I think that's where we are. There's lots of dominoes that have to fall over, but I just thought it might be helpful for the board to know what conversations I've had, because I think most of us are aware of this request that's been made, so that's sort of where we are on it.
Carol?
I am in favor of the $7,500 payment to the chamber as a resolution. I also want to recognize the electric department. The City of Siloam Springs Electric Department has received national recognition for achieving exceptional electric reliability in 2020. And I think that's tremendous for our city because our electricity is very reliable. I know when other communities are down, we are up, or when we go down, we get up right away. I'm excited for the Dogwood Festival. I was excited to see the farmers market back in real life. I think that's tremendous. Thank you to our dispatch workers. Also, along with the Dogwood Festival, is the Dogwood Run. I think, is that at 8 o'clock in the morning? Does that start? Can they still register? Is it, okay. And another thing that I saw on our website is we're still having problems with people flushing non-flushable wipes that are clogging our system. So don't do that. That's a no-no. Let me see. We continue to work on Kenwood. I drive by that almost every day, and I see that there's some progress going on. We're doing more on the drainage on West Tulsa by the vet clinic, and I see that going on. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Brad?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I'd like to ask Philip Patterson, for the chamber, who dropped the ball? There had to be a ball drop that you didn't get what you needed before we closed the budget, because I know we go through great lengths during this budget process.
Well, it's not so much the budgeting process, and I'm not, I think if I had to point fingers, it would be like this. I mean, it's a little bit maybe on both sides. The chamber had an individual leave the employment of the chamber beginning of the fourth quarter. Toward the end of the fourth quarter, we were frantically trying to, close out the year, trying to draft out the contracts for 2022 and get that going. And so the chamber overlooked, I guess, the need to submit the fourth quarter invoice in 2020 and along with the report, and it never dawned on me that we didn't get it. And so in February, I think there was an email that was sent from the chamber's a private consultant, a private party accountant, and it went to an individual in the city that normally doesn't receive those invoices. We're so paranoid about phishing emails that it sort of went into the junk file and the phishing file. And I think it was this weekend, Monday, when I came into work, Arthur contacted me and said, hey, can you look into our fourth quarter payment from 2020? So I said, well, that's interesting. I'd never received an invoice. Well, we went here, so I tracked it down, and it appeared to be a phishing email. So the point of the whole issue is simply that we closed the books in the 2020 books are closed about the end of January. So anything that's not paid before we close the books has to come out of 2021 budget. And so in the 2021 budget, there's enough money for the 2021 contract. There's not any extra money. So what I suggested to Arthur was that he come here and ask the board to amend the 2021 budget to include that fourth quarter payment that should have been made in 2020.
So the struggle for me, and specifically Ward 2, is just the long history of contracts with the chamber and citizens continuing to fund the chamber. And I'm a simple man, and it sounds like the ball was dropped, and it's on the chamber end. If you can't do your business within a timely manner, and your people leave, and you don't make sure that communication is in place, and you don't have your records in place, I don't recall this ever happening underneath Wayne. And I know where that individual is now, and man, I hate to send a guy underneath the bridge. I struggle funding the chamber, additional funding with the chamber at any level. And so I just want to make that simply clear. And I'll be a no. I'm sure it'll pass. But it is a struggle, especially now in COVID. We use taxpayer dollars to continue to fund the chamber. If you can't stay in that contract and do your paperwork in a timely manner, like everybody else, if you drop the ball and we had our documentation and our budget wasn't online, I'm sure we'd come directly to you. You'd be the man to answer on that. So I don't need any correspondence off to the side from the chamber. That's just the way it is. So moving on, I can't say enough about dispatch. I've used them quite a bit over the past couple of years. We never see these people's faces. They aren't in the limelight. And phone calls with me on a 911 call are short and sweet. and I've called up and apologized later that I was a little abrasive with them. But when they receive a lot of calls like that, and one of the things they ask the most is just do not hang up. Stay on the line. So if we could do anything for dispatch, if you ever use them, and you're in these middle of these crises, just don't hang up on them. And keep your phone, at least keep it open. You may have to set it down to do whatever you need to do during a family emergency or whatever it is. But please keep that connection on the line. That helps him a lot. And I'm excited about the Dogwood Festival because it rains and it brings weird weather, and it goes right along with what's happening this year. So today was a fantastic day to keep your head on a swivel, and remember, change is coming. I will receive my second vaccination on 5/4 at the neighborhood market. I spoke of it before. You can get online. If you have insurance, you can take your insurance card in. If you've gotten a vaccination shot, your first one somewhere else, and it matches, you can get your second vaccination there. If the other one fails, it's close by, it's convenient. And I've taken my mother up there. She got her shot over at the Hunt facility and missed the second one a couple of weeks, and boom, got it there. We were in and out within the 15-minute waiting period time. Very, very simple, very easy to do. So if you choose to get vaccinated, that is an option. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Lisa?
I'm excited for the Dogwood Festival. I hope everyone's safe and that they have fun. So, like Director Smiley mentioned, they have the
run, Dogwood Run.
and then the pageant, and then they have a car show. There's something for everyone at the Dogwood Festival. And so I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, the weather it brought in, we shouldn't be surprised. I went to a funeral today, and it was graveside, and it snowed the whole time. And as soon as the funeral was over, it stopped snowing, so I wasn't surprised. Thank you to the dispatchers. As Director Burns said, it's a hard job, and it's a thankless job. And they do save lives. I think a lot of people think firemen save lives, and they do, and police officers save lives. But so do dispatchers. They're trained to save your life, and we need to show them our appreciation, not just on National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, but all the time. They've earned my respect. I've noticed someone posted something about In God We Trust on the police vehicles. Is that on every vehicle so far? Or?
My knowledge, it's on every marked vehicle.
Awesome. So a citizen brought that up, the same citizen that brought up the ADA. And so it's exciting to see that on the vehicles. And so I make a motion to adjourn.
Before we have a second for that, I just need your direction for the resolution for the
Oh,
chamber.
I'm so sorry. I agree with resolution for the chamber. Sorry about that.
Madam Mayor, I just have one other question, since we're on that subject around the table regarding the resolution. In terms of an invoice, Philip, is it necessary to have an invoice? Is it quarterly? Is that what it is? And I'm asking because I'm new and I didn't know how this worked in the past.
So yes, the way the chamber agreement is set up, that they would submit quarterly their report and an invoice.
A report and an invoice. Okay. All right.
Thank you. So do I have a second for our motion to adjourn?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? There being none, we are adjourned. Thank you.